Hey there, welcome back. My name is ARTFX and we're gonna do a demo video of a UVI Sparkverb. UVI Sparkverb is a reverb plugin developed by the same company that developed UVI Falcon. So Sparkverb is actually one of the effect modules that you can choose inside Falcon, but they've actually released it as a separate VST plugin as well. And I was really interested in checking this one out because I personally really like the reverb sound of Falcon. So getting this particular plugin was a really nice thing and I really wanted to show it to you guys. Now before we're gonna get into the tutorial, if you want to get one of the t-shirts that you can see in the screen right now, then go to the Basic Waves website, and if you want to get one of these shirts, on checkout, you can use the discount code ARTFX10, and with that, you will get a 10% discount, and you will also help support my channel. So here we are inside Ableton Live. I have a couple of sounds loaded up on separate tracks. These are just coming from random sample packs. I just looked for sounds that were relatively dry so that we could apply the reverb to it and see what it does. So I'm gonna show you the samples right now. I have a drum loop. Then I also have a synth sound. Then I have this particular one, which is a vocal.
Who'd have thought you'd captured my heart?
And then finally, I wanted to try out something slightly different. So here I have a horn loop, which is like a horn section, and it sounds like this. Now I can hear a slight background noise in this one, so the recording wasn't too good. I can fix that though. Let's just bring a gate up here. So now we have no background noise. Okay, cool. Let's get into this one. So the first thing I want to do is I want to apply UVI Sparkverb to this drum loop and see what it does. So this is UVI Sparkverb. Let me loop the drums, and I'm going to go through some of these presets. So let's start off with these. I'm just going to let's take the drums bright preset. So this is like a preset aimed for putting on drums. So it should be a good one for this particular loop. So I'm going to bring the mix all the way down, so we're going to hear the dry version first, and then I'm going to bring in the mix and see what happens. So I can hear there's quite a bit of a boomy low end on this one, and we can see that here as well. Now the beauty of UVI Sparkverb is that you have control over how much decay you get on the lower frequencies and how much decay you get on the higher frequencies. So for instance, what I could do here is I can take this low decay and I can bring it down. And you can see that happening in the graph above it as well, which is kind of like an equalizer view. It's kind of like a spectrum analyzer, but you can EQ it as well, because I can click and drag on here as well, and that changes the knobs below it. So that's really cool. So let's say I don't want to have as much decay on the low frequencies. I can just do this. Here we have drum room. This would also be a good one for drums. Let's see what this one sounds like. So this one is affecting the low frequencies again quite a bit. Let's say I don't want that. I'm just going to drag this down. So you can hear that you definitely get a lot of control with this. So let's move on to actually I'll do the synth sound last, because I think on the synth sound I'll be able to demonstrate some of the really interesting features of UVI Sparkverb. Let's go to the horn section. The horn section sounds like an interesting one to try this out on. So let me go and apply Sparkverb to the horns. So this is the horns by themselves. Now let's apply the default UVI Sparkverb to this. To be honest, that already sounds very beautiful. Now let's try some of these halls. For instance, I want to try the classic hall and see what this sounds like. To me, that sounds like a pretty beautiful reverb sound. There's a whole bunch of different halls here included as well. For instance, the concert hall. I mean, just mixing it in about 20% sounds really good to me. And especially if we now jump back to what it was. See, that's like... That's super dry, and then with this, it just sounds really nice. The LA Hall. Now, of course, what I do on a lot of these presets is when I load them up, I bring the mix down to about 20%, because by default it's most of the time around 50%, which is quite a lot. And for a lot of sounds you don't need that much reverb, so about 15 to 20% is usually where I'll be. Now you can hear, if you bring it up to 100%, you'll definitely be able to hear like what the reverb sounds like itself. And I can hear this one really rolls off the high frequencies, and we can see that here as well. The high cut is actually enabled, so if I turn it off, we get more high frequencies again. So that's how they created that muffled kind of reverb sound. Really interesting. And again, you have a lot of presets to choose from. For instance, some chorus stuff here. Let's say I want to apply some chorus to the high frequencies. You can do that. So this kind of creates like a chorus effect. Introducing more stereo width, so even right now it doesn't really sound like a reverb, it's more like a stereo widener, or like a chorus effect, which is very interesting to see that with just this reverb you could do that as well. So let's move on to a vocal, because a lot of you guys probably want to hear what this sounds like on a vocal. So this is the vocal by itself.
Who'd have thought you'd captured my heart?
Interesting vocal, sounds really nice. I'm actually just gonna put Sparkverb straight on here. And let's start with one of the hall presets. So I'm gonna try out a large hall and see what that sounds like. Oh wow, that has a really interesting curve on the EQ. So just from looking at this, I'm already guessing that this has quite a bit of reverb on the low end, but has a huge reverb length on the sort of like the mid-high frequency. So interesting to see what this is gonna sound like.
Who'd have thought you'd captured my heart? Wasn't looking for love, then you turned the heat up, and you showed me the colors of your heart.
So yeah, that's a pretty big reverb. I would bring the mix down quite a lot because it's very, very wet right now.
Who'd have thought you'd captured my heart?
And it's very long, so I would probably bring the decay time down here as well.
Would have thought you'd captured my heart. Wasn't looking for love, then you turned the heat up, and you showed me the colors of your heart.
But that sounds pretty good. Let's try one of these other ones. Obama Hall. Don't know what that is, but it has a lot of decay on the high frequencies.
Would have thought you'd captured my heart. Wasn't looking for love, then you turned the heat up, and you showed me the colors of your heart.
Yeah, that one has a lot of decay on the high frequencies, but almost no decay on the low frequencies, so it really creates this almost shimmering reverb effect. Really cool. Now, there's a whole bunch of different halls, and they all sound different. You've got your plates right here, so those are different plates. A thunder plate. That one has a lot of decay on the low frequencies, so this one would probably sound very weird on this vocal.
Would have thought you'd captured my heart.
Yeah, like I said, so those is really interesting reverbs as well with this one. EM Tribute.
Would have thought you'd captured my heart. Wasn't looking for love, then you turned the heat up, and you showed me the colors of your heart.
I mean, that sounds pretty good as well. So there's the plates. Then you've got large to endless. Now these are really interesting, and I wanna check these out on the synth sound. That is the last layer that we're gonna talk about. But we also have a vocal category here, so I'm definitely gonna try these out on the vocal here. Then we have the room ones, so these are a little bit more shorter reverb types, so great for drums, stuff like that. Then we have drums percussion, so those are also good for drums probably. Then we have all the ensemble and chorus ones, so these are all your stereo widening type effects, so more like chorus and stuff like that. Then we have effects and sound design, so these are really interesting reverbs. These are more like your experimental reverb type, so these give very interesting effects, and we're gonna try these on the synth sound as well. And then we've got shimmer. Now shimmer is very interesting, and I'm going to try these out on the vocals as well, but I want to start with these vocal presets here. So this one is called Almost Doubling.
Would have thought you'd captured my heart. Wasn't looking for love, then you turned the heat up, and you showed me the colors of your heart.
Okay, that's interesting, because this vocal, by itself, is pretty mono.
Would have thought.
To be honest, I think it's even completely mono. Let's check.
Would have thought you'd captured my heart.
Yeah, this vocal is completely mono. So, this particular preset actually turns it into stereo.
Would have thought.
By applying a slight chorus effect to it, it just creates this... Well, it creates a stereo effect from this mono vocal, but it doesn't sound too bad, to be honest. It sounds pretty pleasing.
Would have thought.
I might want to bring this down a bit, because I think it's a little bit much, but...
Would have thought you'd captured my heart.
It just creates this slight stereo effect, which is really nice. Definitely interesting to see that you can do stuff like that. EDM vocals.
Would have thought you'd captured my heart.
Nice. Ethereal, so this should be a long one.
Would have thought you'd captured my heart.
Yeah, it has a lot of decay on the lower frequencies, so nice one. Eventide. Okay, that one is probably moduled after the Eventide reverb module.
Would have thought you'd captured my heart.
This is again more like a stereo effect, so this really turns your mono signal into a stereo signal. And there's a lot more here. Medium dark, Motown Spring.
Would have thought you'd captured my heart.
It's a pretty clean sounding reverb, not too long. Just a general good reverb to put on vocals. And like I said, there's a bunch of other ones here, so pretty interesting stuff. We also have these shimmer ones, so I think these are quite long. Let's try shimmer 1. Okay, so that has a huge boost in the high frequencies. Let's see what that does.
Who'd have thought you'd captured my heart? Wasn't looking for love, then you turned the heat up.
So yeah, that really creates that shimmering high frequency layer on top. And there's a bunch of different ones, so they probably give different results. Wow, this one has a huge spike in the high frequencies. Let's see.
Who'd have thought you'd captured my heart?
Yeah, interesting. So, let's move on to the last sound. So this is a synth sound from one of the Cashmere packs. It sounds loud, I know, but I want to see what the reverb does to this. So this is a one-shot sound, and we have a bunch of very interesting reverbs here. Now, let's for instance start with the classic hall. And I'm going to put this to 100% wet. And let's see what it sounds like. See, that is why I love reverb plugins, because you can turn any simple synth sound into a much more interesting sound just by adding some reverb. And this is actually a lot of times, this is how I create my sound effects and my impacts and my big hits that I use on the start of a track or on the start of a breakdown or something like that. It's usually just a very simple synth sound running through a almost 100% wet reverb to get this really spacey kind of sound. And you can do this with a lot of things. You can simply take any dry sound and run it through a 100% wet reverb or almost 100% wet reverb and create this really beautiful atmospheres that you can use in any type of cinematic influence type of track. So for instance, drum and bass, in a lot of the intros you have a lot of influences coming from cinematic music. These kind of techniques would be great to create sounds for those tracks. So let's try out some of these other ones. So we have large to endless. Now these are very cool because these create very big atmospheric type of things. Oh, this one isn't too bad. It's called Big and Diffuse. It is a big sounding reverb, but it's not too long. This one though, this one is very cool, because if you look at it, this one has just pretty much the full frequency spectrum. There's no EQing going on, it's just really all the frequencies are there in the reverb signal. And it has a decay time of 32 seconds, which is really long. Now let's see what that does. Now that is really beautiful. I love this kind of stuff. So you can just put it to 100% wet. And you can just bounce this out to audio, reverse it, and you've got a beautiful riser based on a sound that you already had in your track. So that's how you can always come up with sounds for your track that are made from the sounds you already have, and therefore they will most of the time fit your track without having to do too much sound design, because a lot of times making a riser would be pretty difficult to do, right? It would take, or maybe not that difficult, but it would take you quite a bit of time to do. So let's say I duplicate this track now, and I'm gonna freeze this track, and I'm gonna flatten it. So this is now the track that we have. So everything after this particular part, so this is the part of the sound itself, everything that comes after it is pretty much just reverb sound. It's just reverb noise. So I can just remove this and take this clip that we now have. Let me make it a bit shorter, like so. And I can just reverse this, do this, and now we have a beautiful riser, a beautiful sort of like atmospheric riser that was made from this synth sound. Really interesting, and this is actually how I do a lot of my sound effects these days. So there's a couple of different ones like these. This one is called Endless. It's kind of similar. This one has an even longer reverb time. This one has a decay time of 50 seconds, so that's about the longest you can go. Really cool though. Love the sound of this one. And there's more of these, like this is called Extreme Set. This one has a higher decay time on the high frequencies compared to the other ones. Larger ring, platinum, sparsing. This one is fully there as well. No filtering going on, or at least not as much as the other ones. This particular preset actually retains the low frequencies, so you will actually get a reverb signal with the low frequencies in there, which is very cool as well. And it's a long one too, 50 seconds, so you can make endless or really long rises with this one. Really cool. So those are the large to endless. Now let's try some of these effects sound design ones, because these are pretty interesting. So this is the sound by itself. And this is with the preset Boat Illness. That's cool. That's pretty interesting. Cheap time stretch. It's kind of like a time stretch effect. It doesn't really time stretch it, but it gives you the impression as if it was time stretched. Enter Space. Okay, I should put this on 100% wet. There's some interesting effects here. Now, these are still pretty reverb-like. That's a little bit more experimental. It creates like a metallic sound to it. Not sure if I would be able to use this somewhere, but it sounds quite interesting though. Men at Work. Wow, this creates like a super noisy high end on top of it. More metallic sounding stuff. And I mean, if you mix this in, it just creates this weird metallic sound. I have to say, it doesn't even sound that bad. It sounds pretty good, even on this sound. Panic Lab. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. This one is absolutely great for creating, you know, those low rumbly type of sounds that you hear a lot in film music. I mean, just hear it. It seems like the low end just keeps going forever. And that's what they've done here. They've put the size up to 50 meters, so it's all the way up. They put the decay time to almost all the way up, and then they've brought the low decay time to a multiplier value of 10 times, so which means that the decay time on the low end is 10 times what this is set to. So this is set to almost 45 seconds, which means that this low frequency decay time is now about 450 seconds long. Imagine that. This will keep on going on for a while now, and that's why I love UVI Sparkverb. You can do these very cool things with it. Let's turn it off. So now we've talked about a good amount of the entire plugin. There's a couple of things I would like to show you still. There's a couple of things right here. So you've got a freeze button. This will basically give you an infinite decay time. So you can basically just click the freeze button when the plugin is running, and it'll basically just freeze it at whatever point it is, and the reverb will just keep going. So even if you really want to make endless risers, you could do that by doing that. There's also a couple of other things right here at the top. For instance, you've got an A and B section, so you can actually store different presets for A and B. So you actually have two different presets you can switch back and forth between, which is really cool if you want to like compare two presets and see which one sounds best. And then we've got this randomize button, which basically just randomizes all the knobs in the plugin, and you get a completely different reverb sound every time you click that knob. So you can really just create very different sounding reverb effects very quickly by just clicking the randomizer button a few times, and that's always helpful. I love it when plugin developers include randomizing features. Then we have this, what is that? Mutate all parameters. Okay, so that actually is also a randomizer function, but it's not as big as the other randomizing function. This just changes the settings slightly. But it'll still sound roughly the same as what it was before. It'll just be slightly tweaked. Very cool as well. So that's it for UVI Sparkverb. I hope you like this. I'm going to include a link to UVI Sparkverb to the website in the description below this video. So if you want to check it out, feel free to do so. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this reverb plugin, what you think of the sound, and let me know what you want to see a video about next. Because I'm actually thinking about what can I do more on this channel. And if you guys have any ideas for future video ideas, video series maybe even, let me know in the comments below, and I'll try and do a series about whatever you want. So, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. I'm going to be doing more videos soon with UVI Sparkverb and probably also with some of the other UVI products. There's going to be a few reviews coming up from on contact libraries, which I'm pretty stoked on. So that's what we're going to do as well. And yeah, without further ado, I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you back soon. Peace.